All right, so let's talk about, Amazon's stated reason for being opposed to having a labor union. They believe in direct communication with employees, which would be the best way to go about doing it and doing whatever. But my experience, and most likely yours, has been that that's a very one-sided street. So, there's going to be two key examples that, I think most people are going to be able to relate to, that you can directly see. And also something that's been coming up frequently in the last week on the My Voice app for my building, the one where I'm currently working. One of the things that's been coming up recently that leads me into point number one is that, a lot of people are frustrated with our OMs, AMs, site leadership in general, because we've been handed, mandatory extra days, potentially from November 2nd until December 20th, 5 or 6 tens, all the way from November 2nd until December 20th. And, makes, logical sense that, the people that are our managers that, are in charge of our building would be the people, that those complaints would be, I don't know how to say it, but, it's not what it is. I mean, they're handed a list of here's the dates that everybody's doing mandatory overtime. They're going to be doing that mandatory overtime with us too, and they're salaried employees. So they're not going to be getting, the overtime pay or any of that. Your OMs, AMs, and all of them, the ones that have been around for a good period of time, they're rotated in and out of day shift, night shift, regardless of their personal preferences, family life, or any of that. I believe in, Amazon's, logic that that's the fair way to do it. And that's a topic for a whole nother day, a whole, thing in itself. The OMs, AMs, their primary responsibility is not doing what typical FC people do. It's, doing the, computer work, logistical planning and, communications interdepartmentally, and, all of that is computer-based, yet none of them have chairs. Look at your flow operators. None of them have a chair. They're, stationed at a desk doing nothing but, working on a computer, talking on a radio and all of that. So, they are not allowed to run their departments how they see fit. And here's an example for you. So one time I was doing VRC, which is, taking totes from stove floors down to the ground floor, which you can only get 4 pallets of them at a time on about a 5-minute run in between the distance it takes to get from that elevator to the decant stations. And we're just getting cleaned out. I projected that, we're going to be out of totes within, probably the next, 30 minutes to, an hour. And, it's not like we're going to be taking items out of boxes and just dumping it down the conveyor belt and sending it up without a tote. That's just not how that works. So I went over to my manager. I told them that's the scenario that we were in. And they had about 30 minutes to, get me some backup. Otherwise, we're just losing ground to the point we're not going to have any totes to put stuff up. And they were like, hey, I am not allowed to take another person, off our primary path, off station to, help get more totes down and, to the places that we actually need them. So, even the managers are not, allowed to manage their departments as they see fit. They're, confined within a set, rule book. Look at your My Voice app. Every single comment has to be commented on. I don't know this for a fact. And, all of this will probably play, a key point in, finalizing a union decision. But don't expect, anyone who's put in that level of work, put up with that level of, problems and, is making decent money, to, be the first people to hop on the, relatively uncertain and, potentially long process of forming a labor union. But don't let that discourage you. We're talking about things that we can see on why this is, a necessary factor. So, they're required to, put some boilerplate comment on there about, all concerns and, to respond to everything in the appearance of, the direct communications in between employees and management. But, they're not making decisions, based on like how much, mandatory overtime that we're getting. So, I get it. We're all frustrated. We don't want to have to do that part. And they're the people in our line of sight that are in positions of authority. But, it's not a problem with them. They got handed that same schedule. And, unlike you and I, they're not going to be getting any extra pay. They're salaried employees and they're going to be doing the same amount of hours that we are. But without the overtime benefit. Other than that, the other obvious one, at my building at least, and I'm in, the northwest corner of Washington State, meaning that we really don't get warm temperatures in the summertime or what have you, but year round, the building is at like 75 to like 80 degrees. Which is an Amazon corporate's targeted spec. And year after year, we have several people bringing up the heat, and to the average person out there who's not like an Amazon employee, 75, ooh, sounds nice, not bad. But like, imagine if you're doing like a physically demanding job and, like going back and forth with a pallet jack hauling, hundreds of pounds worth of crap. That's not the best, temperature to be, working hard in and whatnot, But, the boilerplate response that comes back time and time again is that, that's within the targeted spec. So, just with those things in mind, you can see how, it doesn't really line up that, the direct communication path in between, Amazon and its employees. It's a very one-sided street. And it's all coming downhill from the corporate thing, getting disseminated by the, main managers and whatnot. And, so the reality of that situation, you got to look for it to see it, but once you see it, you definitely, can see the benefits on why, it's in everyone's interest to have, collective power to be able to actually negotiate with corporate on, an even footing versus, like, hey, here's our direct relationship, which is just a one-way street. Whatever it is that they're going to do, that's what they're going to do. And don't, and everything is everything. And some of our managers have worked real hard to get fans on stations and electrolyte packets for employees. And, that's very impressive, especially with the situation as it is now. But, you know, the majority of or not the majority, but, you know, a large portion of the workforce will never benefit from having a fan on station or anything of those natures. And, you know, long story short, you know, to be able to get, you know, the negotiations on an even footing, it would take, you know, collective bargaining, you know, with the Amazon employee labor union, you know, instead of just like, hey, you know, don't do anything from November 2nd to December, you know, 20th, which, as I keep checking it, I mean, it's a shifting goal, so could get worse, could get better, but long story short, you know, whatever it is that we, you know, say, it's, you know, coming down the hill, and that's how that's going to be. So, yep, kind of a longer one, trying to keep it shorter. The internet over here, it was like I don't know, the last video I updated, it took probably a good 12 hours to actually upload at, you know, 0.5 of a megabit, you know, a second there. So, you know, but, you know, the information's the information, and, you know, I want you to be thinking about this stuff critically and, you know, deciding for yourself, you know, what is the best, you know, path forward. Are we, you know, the monetary situation, the, you know, actual, you know, direct line of communication between corporate, you know, is this what you want? Or would it be better to, you know, have direct, you know, and equally weighted conversations, and potentially even, you know, slightly different, you know, but yeah, that's what we're talking about right now. So I believe it would be in your best interest to join the Amazon employee labor union.